10 foods that could lower your risk of cancer. The chance of contracting chronic diseases like heart disease, diabetes, and cancer can be significantly impacted by what you consume. It has been demonstrated that your diet has a significant impact on the development of cancer in particular. Several meals contain healthy ingredients that might slow the spread of cancer. A higher intake of particular foods may be linked to a lower risk of the disease. According to numerous research, this article will examine the evidence and examine 10 foods that may reduce your risk of developing cancer. 1. Broccoli. Sulforaphane, a plant chemical included in cruciferous vegetables that may have significant anti-cancer activities, is a component of broccoli. Sulforaphane decreased the size and quantity of breast cancer cells by up to 75%. According to a test tube research. Similarly, sulforaphane treatment reduced tumor size in mice by more than 50% and assisted in the death of prostate cancer cells. According to an animal study, a higher consumption of cruciferous vegetables like broccoli has also been related in certain studies to a reduced risk of colorectal cancer. Eating more cruciferous vegetables was linked to a lower risk of colorectal and colon cancer. According to one review of 35 research, incorporating broccoli in a few of your meals each week may help prevent cancer. But, take in mind that the research that is currently available hasn't specifically examined how broccoli can affect cancer in people. Instead, it has only focused on in vitro, in vivo, and observational studies that either examine the effects of cruciferous vegetables or the effects of a particular component found in broccoli. Further research is therefore required. Sulforaphane, a compound found in broccoli, a substance that has been demonstrated to kill tumor cells and shrink tumors in animal and test tube experiments. Increased consumption of cruciferous vegetables could be linked to a decreased risk of colorectal cancer. 2. Carrots. More carrot consumption has been related to a lower risk of developing several cancers, according to a number of studies. For instance, a review of 5 research findings found that consuming carrots could up to 26% lower the risk of stomach cancer. According to a different study, eating more carrots was linked to an 18% lower risk of prostate cancer. In one study, 1,266 participants, with and without lung cancer, had their diets examined. According to the study, people who were current smokers and did not consume carrots were 3 times more likely to acquire lung cancer than those who did. To enhance your consumption and perhaps lower your risk of cancer, try include carrots in your diet occasionally as a delightful side dish or nutritious snack. But, keep in mind that while these studies suggest a link between eating carrots and cancer, they fail to take other potential contributing factors into consideration. Several research have discovered a connection eating carrots with a lower risk of stomach, lung, and prostate cancer. 3. Beans. Due to their high fiber content, beans may help prevent colorectal cancer, according to certain studies. According to one study, those who ate more cooked, dried beans had a tendency to have a lower risk of tumor recurrence. The participants in this study, 1,905 persons with a history of colon cancers, were tracked. Also, a study on animals revealed that giving rats navy or black beans before causing colon cancer prevented the growth of cancer cells by as much as 75%. These findings suggest that eating a few servings of beans each week may help you consume more fiber and reduce your risk of getting cancer. The current body of knowledge, however, is restricted to animal research and studies that demonstrate connection but not causality. To explicitly investigate this in humans, more research is required. Beans have a lot of fiber, which could helpful in preventing colorectal cancer. Studies on people and animals have revealed that an increase in bean consumption may lower the incidence of colon and colorectal cancer. 4. Berries. Berries include significant levels of anthocyanins, plant pigments with antioxidant characteristics that may lower the risk of cancer. One human trial involved 25 patients with colorectal cancer who received bilberry extract for 7 days. It was discovered that this treatment slowed the growth of cancer cells by 7%. Another small trial revealed that giving freeze-dried black raspberries to patients with oral cancer reduced levels of several cancer-related indicators. In a research on rats, freeze-dried black raspberries decreased the incidence of esophageal tumors by up to 54% and the quantity of tumors by up to 62%. These results suggest that consuming a serving or two of berries daily may help prevent the growth of cancer. Remember that further human research is required because these trials, which examine the effects of a concentrated dose of berry extract, were conducted on animals and were observational in nature. Many animal and test tube experiments have discovered that berries' chemical composition may limit the development and spread of specific forms of cancer. 5. Nuts. Eating nuts may reduce your risk of developing some cancers, according to research. For instance, a study that examined the diets of 19,386 individuals discovered that consuming more nuts was linked to a lower chance of dying from cancer. Another study indicated that eating nuts frequently was linked to a lower risk of colorectal, pancreatic, and endometrial cancers. This study followed 30,708 participants for up to 30 years. According to other studies, a lower risk of cancer may be associated with a certain variety of nuts. For instance, Brazil nuts are rich in selenium, which may aid patients who have low selenium levels stave off lung cancer. Similar results were found in an animal experiment, where feeding mice walnuts lowered the growth rate of breast cancer cells by 80% and the number of tumors by 60%. These findings imply that increasing your daily nut intake may lower your risk of getting cancer in the future. Further research on humans is still required to ascertain whether nuts are to blame for this connection or whether other factors are at play. According to certain studies, a nut consumption may be increased to lower cancer risk. Study indicates that several particular varieties, such Brazil nuts and walnuts, can possibly be connected to a lower cancer danger. 6. Turmeric. Spices like turmeric are well known for their ability to improve health. The chemical's primary component, curcumin, has anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, and even anti-cancer properties. In one study, the effects of curcumin were examined in 44 patients who had potentially malignant tumors in their colons. 4 grams of curcumin taken every day for 30 days reduced the amount of lesions by 40%. By specifically targeting an enzyme linked to cancer growth, curcumin was also discovered in a test tube study to lessen the spread of colon cancer cells. Curcumin was shown to aid in the death of head and neck cancer cells in a different test tube investigation. Several test tube experiments have demonstrated the efficacy of curcumin in reducing the growth of breast, prostate, and lung cancer cells. Aim for at least 1/2 to 3 teaspoons, 1-3 grams, of ground turmeric each day for the best outcomes. Combine it with black pepper to increase its absorption, and use it as a ground spice to add flavor to cuisine. Curcumin is a substance found in turmeric. It has been demonstrated in test tube and human trials to slow the growth of many different cancers and diseases. 7. Citrus fruits. In certain studies, eating citrus fruits including lemons, limes, grapefruits, and oranges has been linked to a lower risk of cancer. According to a significant study, those who consumed more citrus fruits had a lower incidence of upper and lower respiratory tract malignancies. Increased consumption of citrus fruits was connected to a lower risk of pancreatic cancer, according to a study of 9 studies. Lastly, a meta-analysis of 14 trials found that eating citrus fruit frequently, at least 3 servings per week, decreased the incidence of stomach cancer by 28%. According to these research, consuming a few servings of citrus fruits each week may reduce your risk of getting some cancers. Remember that other potential contributing factors are not taken into consideration in these investigations. Further research is required to determine how citrus fruits directly influence the onset of cancer. According to studies, a larger consumption of citrus fruits may reduce the chance of developing some malignancies, including malignancies of the upper and lower respiratory systems, the pancreas, and the stomach. 8. Tomatoes. Tomatoes contain the chemical lycopene, which gives them their bright red color and gives them anti-cancer effects. According to several research, consuming more lycopene and tomatoes may lower the risk of developing prostate cancer. Increased consumption of raw tomatoes, cooked tomatoes, and lycopene were all linked to a lower risk of prostate cancer, according to a study of 17 research. A larger consumption of tomato sauce in particular was connected to a lower chance of developing prostate cancer, according to a different study of 47,365 adults. Add 1 or 2 servings of tomatoes to sandwiches, salads, sauces, or pasta dishes each day to help improve your intake. Nonetheless, note that these studies demonstrate there may be a relationship between consuming tomatoes and a reduced risk of prostate cancer. But they don't account for other factors that could be involved. According to certain studies, a higher lycopene and tomato consumption may lower the risk of prostate cancer. Nonetheless, more research is required. 9. Garlic. Allicin, the main ingredient in garlic, has been demonstrated in numerous test tube tests to kill cancer cells. Several studies have linked consuming garlic with a reduced risk of developing specific cancers. According to a study with 543,220 participants, people who regularly consume leafy vegetables, such as garlic, onions, leeks, and shallots, had a lower risk of developing stomach cancer than people who don't. A higher intake of garlic was linked to a lower risk of prostate cancer, according to a study of 471 men. According to a different study, people who consume large amounts of fruit, bright yellow veggies, dark green vegetables, and onions have a lower risk of developing colorectal cancers. This study did not, however, specifically examine the effects of garlic. These results suggest that you can benefit from the health benefits of fresh garlic by adding 2 to 5 grams, or around 1 clove, of it in your diet each day. However, further research is required to determine whether other factors may play a role, despite the encouraging results linking garlic to a lower risk of cancer. The substance allicin is found in garlic that tests in test tubes have shown to kill cancer cells. In studies, discovered that consuming more garlic may reduce the incidence of gastrointestinal, colorectal and prostate cancers. 10. Fatty fish. According to some research, eating a few meals of fish each week could lower your risk of developing cancer. According to a sizable study, eating more fish was linked to a lower risk of digestive system cancer. Another study that tracked 478,040 adults discovered that while red and processed meats actually raised the risk of colorectal cancer, eating more fish actually decreased the risk. Particularly rich in essential minerals like vitamin D and omega-3 fatty acids, which have been connected to a lower risk of cancer, are fatty fish like salmon, mackerel, and anchovies. For instance, getting enough vitamin D is thought to help prevent and lower the risk of cancer. Omega-3 fatty acids are also suggested to prevent the disease from progressing. To receive a substantial supply of omega-3 fatty acids and vitamin D, as well as to maximize the possible health advantages of these nutrients, aim for 2 servings of fatty fish per week. However, additional investigation is required to establish how eating fatty fish may specifically affect a person's chance of developing cancer. Having fish may reduce the risk with cancer. Omega-3 fatty acids and vitamin D are 2 nutrients found in fatty fish, which are thought to prevent cancer. It is becoming more and more obvious that your food can have a significant impact on your risk of cancer as new data keeps coming out. Although there are numerous foods that may slow the spread and development of cancer cells, the majority of the available evidence is from test tube, animal, and observational studies. To fully understand how certain foods might directly influence human cancer development, more research is required. A diet high in whole foods combined with a healthy lifestyle will undoubtedly enhance many elements of your health in the meantime.